How to play Every Praise by Hezekiah Walker. A fairly easy song to learn. There's only 5, I think, different things you got to learn in the song because there's a lot of repetition. So if you know these 5 things, you got the whole song down. Those 5 things is the main chord progression, which starts in D flat. And then it walks down to the B flat, G flat, A flat, D flat. So that's the main chord progression. If you watch any other of my videos, I mention the T pattern a lot in worship music. That shows up all the time. And if you look at those notes on your bass, kind of forms a little bit of a T on the bass, on the neck of the bass. It's very common chord progression. So get familiar with that T pattern wherever you see it. And this song has it throughout the entire song. So it's a good pattern to learn when you're playing bass. And so the next thing you got to learn other than that is just the fact that it changes keys twice. So it goes from here, just goes up a half a step, does the same thing, a half step up, and then same thing, another half step up. So that's the next thing you got to know, is just that it changes keys, but it plays the exact same thing in every key. The intro, you've got the intro, which is slightly different than the rest of the song. So it holds on this A flat, and then it plays that main little riff, and then it goes into the song. So it's the only time where you play the riff a little bit different than the rest of the song. The next thing you got to learn is you got the bridge, which is after you've already modulated up. You've changed keys twice, where the bridge would be the God, I can't sing really well, God our Savior, God our Deliverer, blah blah blah, yes He is, yes He is. So it's very similar to the main riff, where now we're on a E flat, go to C, then go to A flat, and then instead of going back to B flat where you think you'd be going there, instead you go up to F, and then you go down to D flat. And then you've got the ending, kind of what I call like a build on the end here, where you got that little walk pattern there. And then the final thing you have to learn on the song, and this is probably the most important thing. I don't know if you've ever watched the TV show Different Strokes. Well, if you have, and if I say the word different strokes to you, what's the first thing you think of? The very first thing you think of is, what you talking about, Willis? That's like the catchphrase of that TV show. You can't have different strokes without having little Arnold at some point in the show saying, what you talking about, Willis? And so this one riff right here, that's the what you talking about, Willis catchphrase of the song. You've got to have that in there or else you don't have the song. And let's see, what you talking about, Willis? So it almost works with the catchphrase there. But anyway, and that's an easy riff to do, and it's the same in every key. You're just moving up the fretboard. But let's start off in the original key of the song, D flat, and then you're playing the E flat. Well, you're not really playing it, you're sliding it. That's what I do anyway. So you're sliding up to the F with your pinky. And this part is just the A flat, B flat, and then a D flat, an octave higher than just the one down here. If you can't do that slide, you can go. It sounds good with the slide in there. It gives it a little extra oomph. I'm playing it with basically I'm just playing it with these 2 fingers here. My pointer, pinky, pointer, So say that 3 times fast. Pointer, pinky, pointer, pinky, pointer. So I'm not actually using the other fingers, but you might want to play it, excuse me, differently. You know, if you want to play it up here on the fretboard versus where I was doing it. But I do it this way so I can kind of slide into that note. And it's very important for really everybody on the worship team to be playing that riff, since that is that main catchphrase of the song. So any worship leaders out there that are listening, whatever anybody's doing, the guitars, the keyboard players, the bass, everyone, once you get to that one point, everyone should just stop and do that together, and that's a nice impact to have everybody doing it together, because if just the bass player's doing it, it's kind of not having its full effect, you could say. So that's the whole song. We've just learned everything. I'll play the along to it so you can see how all those pieces work together. I'll just start from the start, and then I'll also stop at a few points just to kind of point out a few little finesse things. So here's from the beginning. Is that D flat? D flat. G flat. A flat. So and I've got extra treble on this bass just so it can pick up on the speakers or the microphone on the camera. Usually I would roll off the treble so it would be a smoother sound. But one of the things too on this song, I mean, as you can see, it's just marching along, but don't play the notes like this, because that's kind of lame. Instead of letting those notes hang out like that, give it a little bit of space in between each note. The way I'm doing, I'm just letting off the string. Kind of gives when it's really more like the recording too, has a little bit of that space in between it, but just kind of gives it a little extra lift. It gives it a little bit more groove. You can also kind of bounce it a little bit. Sometimes I do this where it's so it's like it just really depends on however the drummer's playing it. Try to lock in to a feel with him, so it's not just ba 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 ba, just notes just ringing out. You want to have it a little bit of just a hint of staccato in there. All right. Goes into that key change. So you go up to that next note. You're not going. You're changing that first note from a D flat to a D. So here's where if you were without the key changes. And then with the key change. plays that first note before you do the actual riff there. If that makes some sense.
Every word of worship, every word of worship.
Space in between the notes here, this you can really just kind of drive it and let those notes ring out. You don't want to have any space in between the notes now. Continues on and on. So that's really the whole song. So the main thing when you're playing that groove, you have the space in between the notes. When you're doing the bridge, you're driving it. So when you come out of it, kind of you can feel the difference between those two different feels there. And that's important to do in order to give the song more groove, give some make the parts sound different. Even though you're playing pretty much the same notes, you're given an overall different feel. That drive is really kind of pushing that bridge section of the song, so when you come out of it, you feel that difference. So don't just play all the notes exactly the same, give it a little bit of groove. And that's really it for the song. I hope it's helpful for you. Thanks for watching. God bless.